this time, we'll start with item 2.1, call to order. I'm going to call the Paris Union High School District Board meeting to order at 3 o'clock p.m. I'm going to ask for a roll call to determine a quorum. Trustee Nellison.
Here.
Trustee Campos.
Here.
Trustee Garcia.
Present.
Trustee Vallejo.
Here.
And myself, Trustee Stafford, here. We have established a quorum. We'll go to 3.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees, closed session items only. Are there any public comments on closed session items?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. 4.1, we're going to adjourn the closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn the closed session? Trustee Garcia.
Second.
Trustee Vallejo. At 3:01 p.m., we are adjourning to, we can vote on this? Okay. You can vote. Okay, we have 5 in favor with none opposed. We are adjourning to closed session at 3:02 p.m. Okay, we're going to reconvene. The regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 5:37 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we'll have the invocation, item 6.1 by Trustee Vallejo.
Hello, I just wanted to welcome everyone to a new school year. I'm very excited to have another successful year coming up. I hope all of you guys are well rested and you took your vacation because it's very important. It is very important to, it's all about these mental health days that we really need to focus on with ourselves, because I know you guys deal with so much, and I always am so proud to have such a great staff. And I also hope that, I know it's the beginning of the school year. I know there's always going to be a lot of issues going on, and I know it gets a little hectic at this time around. But please, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Please let all of us know. Please let cabinet members know. We're always here for you guys, but if you can, just be a little bit patient. But we just want to make sure that things go smoothly for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Vallejo. At this time, 7.1, we will recess the meeting to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute Charter School. We are recessing the meeting at 5:39 p.m. to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute. Okay, let's go to California. At this time, I'm going to call the California Military Institute. Oh, I didn't click. Oh, it's 39 still. Were we at 39 or 38? Okay. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call the California Military Institute regular board meeting to order. It should be in. I showed you. Let's see. No? Sorry about the inconvenience. So 2.1, I'm going to call the California Military Institute regular board meeting to order at 5:42 p.m. I'm going to ask for a roll call to determine a quorum. Trustee Nelson,
Here.
Trustee Campos,
Here.
Trustee Garcia,
Present.
Trustee Vallejo,
Here.
and myself, Trustee Stafford, here. We have established a quorum. We'll go now to 3.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on closed session items only. Are there any public comments on closed session items?
No public comments this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll go to 4.1, adjourn to closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session if needed?
So moved.
We do? Okay. Trustee Nelson makes the motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Garcia seconds. Please vote. We have 5 in favor with none opposed. We are adjourning the closed session at 5:43 p.m. Okay, we're going to move now to reconvene. The regular board meeting of the California Military Institute is reconvening at 5:47 p.m. We'll go to item 6.1, revision, adoption, ordering of agenda for August 16th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee
Second.
Garcia. And
Second for me.
Nelson, okay. Any questions, concerns? Please vote. Six point one passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. We'll go now to 7.1, report out of closed session.
No report out of closed session this evening.
Okay. We'll go to 7.2, CMITA President Angel Love Barons.
My apologies for technology use. I couldn't get to a printer today. Good evening, President Stafford, Superintendent Bennett. It is a welcome sight to see you all back in your assigned seats, ready to listen intently to what I have to say in this month's statement to you. It feels as though just last week, or just a week ago, I packed up my room for the summer to accommodate the new carpeting being installed. Thank you for making that happen. More than 30 of our teachers are breathing a little cleaner air after that upgrade. In just 2 short weeks, our members have had a dozen or more meetings, collaborations, planning, mixed with a few training sessions. Our calendars are filling up with conferences, duties, grading schedules, trainings, and yes, more meetings. As we welcome the 23-24 school year, we are excited to bring on board 5 new teachers, which means we have no vacant positions. This in turn makes many of our teachers happy because no one is being called to period prep cover for the vacancies, and we do not have a shortage of subs. Major accomplishment over the last 2 years. Thank you. Unfortunately, the hiring of one of these new teachers meant saying goodbye to a beloved teacher while she was out on long-term medical disability under less than agreeable conditions. That being said, as a unit president, I will always seek for fair, equitable treatment, emotional and physically safe working conditions, supervision that is impartial and never targeted, equality in treatment that has no signs of emotional or physical harassment. In Keenan, We complete mandatory training to ensure each and every one of us as employees of this district understand the level of expectations when it comes to these matters. I unfortunately have had to have conversations that gave details of situations, conversations, and interactions between administrators over the years and employees that crossed these lines, at minimum blurred these lines. I would always hope that Mr. Skorpanich and his team, as well as all the cabinet members, the superintendent, and of course, you as the trustees of this district and all of its employees to uphold the standards that are expected of us all. As the days rush at us, my members are working hard at creating seating charts, learning student names, lesson planning, piloting science material, acclimating the newest wave of CMI cadets, getting to know our newest AP, and I personally look forward to observations and evaluations that will go smoothly because of better communication for all involved in a timely and positive manner. That the feelings of goodwill and the best of intentions for some are extended to all. In closing, as always, I appreciate this time to voice my thoughts, feelings, and yes, my concerns. And as always, I welcome your feedback and support for our members. Everything you can give.
Thank you, CMITA President Angela Burns. We'll go now to 7.3, CSEA President Rosa Galvin.
Rose is not here this evening.
Okay, we'll move along. 7.4, Principals Update.
It is good to see you, all of you, President Stafford, board members, Superintendent Benedict. An outstanding and dynamic start to the school year at CMI. And instead of me talking about it, we're going to look at a really quick video that will illustrate that. So if you direct your attention to the screen.
It's Lex. Ooh, I'm a champion. Don't tell me that it can't be done. Going hard like, oh, yeah, it can be done. Like, whoa, yeah, I'm the one. Like, ooh, I'm a champion. Shine bright when the camera's on. Got 'em like, whoa, yeah, I'm the one. Ooh, 'cause I'm a champion, yeah.
Positivity is so important. If we're able to have fun together, we're able to work together. Motivation goes up. And ultimately, all of that translates to better service to our students. And that's ultimately what we want. So thank you.
Oh, we're gonna have fun today.
I mean, this day's been nothing but fun. It's better than I was expecting. I love a new project. It's awesome. We're doing so many activities. We over me, okay? You got to remember that. I love this. I love every second of it.
the clicker here and move as quickly as I can. Our mission continues to be the same. We don't want to just provide opportunities. We are very passionate about ensuring that all of our students are successful. Leadership, if you serve, you're a leader. And so that's what we talk about with our students. The world is big, and too many out there who think it's about themselves. But we teach our students it's about service. And so that's what we're excited about. First day of school, our new assistant principal, Mr. Saban Proc, already beloved by students and staff. He's very good at dancing salsa, so if you need some lessons, he can provide that. But I'm always asked, how do you know your school is great? That up there is our secretary, Ms. Rosa Cook, and that's her daughter. And when an employee wants to bring their own child to a school, then you know that's a great school. Those are our fifth graders on the bottom, and we're excited to welcome them to our school. And an amazing counseling team there in the corner. As you saw in the video, we welcomed our new teachers this school year. Tried to really bond them. As Ms. Behrens, you heard her say, we have 5 new teachers. We appreciate the hard work from all of you. Our HR office was extremely supportive. We're so grateful to be able to start the year fully staffed. And I discovered that I have a bald spot now.
We could have told you that.
Aging is tough. We love our parents, as you guys know. We are super involved with our parents. We're going to support them this year. We have a 10-week seminar that is designed just to support them. We have over 50 families already signed up. We're going to talk about how to support your child, how to resolve conflict, all of those topics that parents should know. So it's happening on our side. Very happy to provide that. Back to school night is Thursday, August 24th, and we're super excited to show our parents and welcome them back. And finally, in conclusion, this is very important to me. I'm very committed to a number of different goals this year. Parent portal, that's how our parents know how to access grades and what's going on with their children. As a parent, I always wanted to know how my child is doing. It's our goal for 100% of our parents to have access and be fully educated on how to use it. We're at 92% right now. We're just a few steps away from hitting that 100, where every parent knows how to use the portal. Enrollment, as you know, CMI is funded on enrollment, but also attendance. I'm proud to say that we're almost at capacity, 1,046 students as of today. As you know, our cap is at 1050. And so I'm really grateful to the team and the work that we've done over the summer to make that happen. But it's not just enrollment. It has to be high attendance. Monday and Tuesday average was at 96% for CMI. All those phone calls, messages going out to parents are really working, that we want your children at school. So I'm very happy to see that. Suspensions is 0 as of right now. A lot of counseling interventions taking place. We're trying to be proactive. Over 100 visits by our administrators to check in on teachers, seeing how they're doing. Is the air conditioning working? What do you need? We're out there with them, making sure your support, and I look forward to working with you this year.
Okay, thank you, Principal Milosevic. We'll go now to item 8.1, invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. Are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
No comments this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll go now to 9.1, consent calendar. Approval of the consent calendar items. Do I have a motion? Trustee Garcia.
Second.
Trustee Nellison. Any questions, comments? If not, please vote. Nine 9.1 passes 5 in favor with 0 opposed. Okay, we'll move now to written reports. 10.1, discipline for June 20th, June 2023, monthly suspension report. We'll go next to action items. 11.1, personnel, certificated personnel actions items. Do I have a motion? Trustee
Second.
Campos, Trustee Vallejo. Any questions, concerns, comments? If not, vote electronically. 11.1, personnel passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 11.2, personnel, classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson?
Second.
Trustee Campos? Okay. Any questions, comments? If not, please vote. 11.2 passes 5 in favor with 0 opposed. 11.3 is a personnel item, action item. The notice of initial proposals between the California Military Institute and the California Military Teachers Association regarding compensation. Do I have a motion? Trustee Garcia,
Second.
Trustee Nelson. The public hearing regarding the notice of initial proposals to negotiate. This goes into a public hearing. 11.3. Oh, it's okay. The public hearing regarding the notice of initial proposals to negotiate Article 1 compensation is now open at 6:03 p.m. You have a comment here, Mr. Bennett?
We have received no public comments to address this subject to the Board of Trustees.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll wait 1 minute. I think we have to go to 6:04, I believe. There we go. Okay. The public hearing is now closed at 6:04 p.m. The motion. Okay. The motion by Trustee Garcia, the second by Trustee Nelson. And second by Nelson to accept the notice of initial proposals between the California Military Institute and the California Military Teachers Association regarding compensation. Upon a vote being taken, we still have to vote on it. It just did, okay. You can vote electronically. We have 5 in favor with 0 opposed. $11.4 is an action item. Personnel, the notice of joint initial proposals between the California Military Institute and the California School Employees Association and its California Military Institute Chapter 778 for the inaugural collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Garcia.
Second.
Trustee Campos. Okay, we're going to open the public hearing regarding the notice of joint initial proposals to negotiate the inaugural collective bargaining agreement. Is now open at 6:05 p.m. Are there any public comments?
There were no requests to address the Board of Trustees on this subject matter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. And we've clicked a minute there. The public hearing is now closed at 6:06 p.m. You have to vote electronically. .4 passes, 5 in favor, with 0 opposed. Okay. Are there any public comments? Let's finish that one. Okay. Okay, we'll go now to 12.1. There's a motion.
Other items by the superintendent.
No. Hold on, one second, please. Am I skipping a page? Okay, there's a motion. We need a motion here. It's not.
So they already voted, so we're already on 12.1.
Okay. All right. We'll keep going. A little rusty. Okay. We'll go now to item 12.1, other items by the superintendent.
Just really quick, I had the opportunity to visit over at CMI yesterday with Dr. Milosavljevic, talking about what they have planned for this year, where they're moving towards. Normally, we go walk classrooms. It was like 105 degrees at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'll go twice as long next time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll go now to 13.1, other items by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Nelson.
Nothing for me today, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Campos.
Well, I'd like to start off by giving you guys a shout out and, welcome back. Glad to see that everything's coming out. One of the things that, and I know you just mentioned, Dr. Miller, about the enrollment. I just think it's awesome that we have an alternative out in that area, and that CMI is that alternative. In life, it's always good to have choices, and then to have such a good choice is obviously a blessing to that community. And thank you, Angel, for your comments. The reality is I know for me personally, I want transparency. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. That way we can move forward so that everybody's working conditions, everybody's happy. It's a great thing to be able to go to work, breathe fresh air, you know what I mean? The carpet's clean. I mean, I know the difference. It does make a difference. And so that's awesome. And hopefully, I know from the last time I visited, I think the AC work hopefully is underway so that Mr. Bennett can hang out a little longer in the cool air. As well as, there could be some paint upgrades, some tech upgrades from what I had seen. And I wanted to just make sure are there no transportation issues getting the kids out there for the 88? Obviously, because that was something that was mentioned, but if that ever comes up, we just want to make sure that, we can do whatever we can to make sure those kids, because I know they're coming from different areas, and so I know that can be an obstacle, but it just, obviously, with the numbers, that's just great to see. So thank you guys for all your hard work. And welcome back.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Campos. Trustee Garcia.
I kind of want to piggyback off of Mr. Campos. Thank you for everything you guys do. Welcome back. We're going to have a good, great new year. I want to say congratulations on no vacancies. That's huge. That's huge. I know everybody doesn't get to sit and talk about it, but for everybody who's in the know in regards to that, that's huge. Communication, you mentioned that you're communicating better. Is that what I heard?
Over evaluations and observations, yes, we've been able to clarify quite a bit, which if you recall from last spring, that was our grievance
Yes.
issue, so, yeah.
Great job. I was going to say something else, but great job. And then I want to ask I can never get your name right, Mr. Milo. Were we able to address the sound system, the situation we talked about last time? Did that get corrected? Wonderful. Thank you. And congratulations, by the way.
I just want to ask, when was back to school night again? It was the 24th. Okay, I will be going to that, so I will be there. And thank you so much for both of your updates. I love hearing them, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Vallejo. Myself, Trustee Stafford. It's great to see the growth of the school over the many years. I used to work right behind you and spent a lot of time on that site, and it's just fantastic, the amount of students and the growth. It just doesn't stop, and that's really consistent. So thank you so much for the job you do, and I still have to get there. I know I have an open invitation, so thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go now to 14.1, which is adjournment of the regular meeting of the California Military Institute for August 16th, 2023. Do I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting of the California Military Institute?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Nelson, Trustee Vallejo, you can vote electronically. We have 5 in favor with none opposed on 14.1. Adjournment is at 6:12 p.m. Okay, we move now. We'll rejoin the regular meeting. So the regular board meeting of the Paris Union High School District is reconvening at 6:13 p.m. We'll go to 8.1, which is revision, adoption, ordering of agenda for August 16th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Hold on, Tony. Trustee Campbell's having a hard time logging in.
Oh, okay.
Joining in. There you go. It finally popped up. Okay. Took us some time. Yeah, it was scary.
Are you?
All right, so moved for 8.1.
8.1?
Yes, please.
Okay. We have a motion, Trustee Nelson, on 8.1, revision, adoption, ordering of agenda. Do I have a second? Second by Trustee Campos. If there's any discussion, concerns, please comment. If not, please vote. Mine isn't moving. It's error. Something's wrong here. Maybe I shouldn't have refreshed it. James? Oh, not. It came up.
Edward, do you have a phone to vote? Is it on yours? Mine still says it.
Okay, there it is. Mine did too. Eight.
8.1 is the list at the top, so I figured it was.
Okay, 8.1 passes 5 in favor with 0 opposed. We'll go now to oral reports. 9.1, report out of closed session.
We have 2 items out of closed session to report this evening. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the Board of Trustees approved the appointment of Shannon Cahoon as the Director of Curriculum and Instruction with an effective date to be determined. She's not here, but you can clap if you'd like. The second item, in closed session by a vote of 5-0, the Board of Trustees took action to dismiss employee number 287687, a classified employee. And that concludes the report out of closed session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. We'll go to 9.2, district update by the superintendent.
Just a few things, because it's so early in the year. We had our admin retreat in July, and you saw that what the kids did at CMI and the staff, we did that out at our retreat, but we also got into some real important things as we're working towards with our equity work that we're doing, and it was a great couple days that we were able to have all of our administrators off campus and really working together on some things. Start of school, things have gone really well so far to start with. We're got the kids are in the classes, the teachers are teaching, and everything's going real smooth so far. So we're looking forward to a great year at that. This week, athletics start. You know, the first football games are on Friday. I think we have some volleyball games on Thursday this week. So it's good to see the kids getting excited and doing those things. Hiring. Kirk and his department did an amazing job this past summer. We hired 2 new directors, one of them tonight. We have 9 new assistant principals, 4 behavior specialists, 4 drug specialists, and a lot of classified employees. That was Kirk's number for me. It was a lot. No, he said a bunch. And we've hired more than 60 teachers or counselors combined. So they had a big job to do, and they've done a great job with that. We had new teacher orientation a couple weeks ago, and went really well. The new people excited about joining our district. I took them on the, if you watch Seinfeld, I took them on the Peterman reality tour, but we call it the Bennett reality tour. We take them around the whole community to show them where our kids come from. We go out to Good Hope, show them that, you know, some of these kids, when it rains, they're going down some dirt roads to get to school. We took them out to Juniper Flats, we took them out to Nuevo, Quail Valley, and we went through some of the newer neighborhoods also to show we have a little bit of everything. But I just think it's so important for them to understand where our kids come from and what they have to do to get to school every day. And then last week, we had training for all our CARES team. They did five days of training last week. Mr. Bruff had them working hard, the new assistant principals and some other staff members at that, so it was a great event. And I think that would conclude my report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent Bennett. We'll go now to 9.3, CSEA President Nathaniel Nash.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Stafford, trustees, Superintendent Bennett. Well, it's my first full school year this year to start as CSEA President, and I'm looking forward to all the great things that will come out of it and all the things that we can change and make better for our staff here. Just a few things. I wanted to thank the district and the board for approving the opportunity for me to go on the Footsteps of Freedom tour. It was an amazing opportunity, and I'm looking forward to bringing some of the great inspiring pieces to my chapter members and the district as well. With that as well, in this whole summer, I was super busy helping with, going on Footsteps of Freedom, going to CSEA conferences, and not only that, but working on helping Kirk and his team get some of those classified employees through their interviews
Thank you. CSEA President Nathaniel Nash, thank you. 9.3, or 9.4 is PSEA President Jason Miller.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to the board and the cabinet. And our treasurer might be reaching out to the cabinet and the board to ask for your shirt sizes. And free of charge.
Thank you.
Donations accepted always. There seem to be a lot of new leaders, new administrators, both at the site level and the director levels, and congratulations to them. I wanted to put forward PSA's perspective on new leadership. We need inventive, transformative, family-oriented leaders. I don't mean just student families. I mean leaders are coming into our schools and our districts where work families have formed. Departments, teacher groups, employee groups have formed their own families throughout the district. They're spending hours with each other, and their careers are likely to outpace most administrators' careers in a district. What we don't need are bosses. We need leaders. We need leaders that are going to listen to these work families that they're coming into, and for the most part, we do have those leaders here. We need leaders that are going to change only the things that need improvement, and not change things for the sake of change, according to the latest educational fad that some consultant has convinced them that their stuff is important. Anybody remember DII? They remember DII? Yeah. That was the fad back in the day, and I sat in this audience listening to their consultant loudly proclaim that they were the ones that got the great test scores. Where is DII now? Gone. No, it was the teachers and educational staff that got great test scores. Your employees are the ones. Your employees, leader, are the ones that will make or break your success. Your employees are the ones that will make or break the success of the school, the student, your department at the district, and the district itself. Leader, you will help students best by supporting your employees. Is that leader helping their staff thrive, or is that leader struggling with their staff? Does your staff think, I love working here, or are they thinking, my school day ends at 3:30? Is your staff excited about working with this leader or that leader? Or are they thinking, well, at least I'm getting paid for this? You have some real talent and leadership in this district, and yes, there are a few areas for improvement, some leaders that just need some improvement, but we want to look at those areas where leadership is being successful and have the mindset of, can we replicate that leadership everywhere in the district? I was at a WASP visitation in February, and the school we visited seemed really, really good, but it was pointed out to me that we got the dog and pony show. I've never actually been to a dog and pony show, but I knew what they were saying. We got the best of that school because it was a WASP visitation, and that person was absolutely right. So why can't we have schools operate as if they're always having a WASP visit? We need leaders that support their staff without interfering with them. So as these new leaders come into their roles, it will be helpful if they are running a smooth operation that doesn't put burden on employees who are already busy with educating our youth. Thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you, PSEA President Jason Miller. We'll go down to 9.5, comments by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just kind of make this short and sweet. I just wanted to welcome everybody back from summer. Hope everybody had a great time and you guys got a chance to travel, just decompress, do all that good stuff. And I hope we have a great year this year. And I'm very hopeful to be able to come see all these sites this year and see what you guys are doing there.
Thank you, Trustee Nelson. Trustee Campos.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback off that and just thank you, Nathaniel and Jason, for the two bargaining units for what you guys do. I know that a lot of times, the heavy burden is on the ground, and we understand that. We hear the concerns, and we'll make sure that those are in discussion and that we can do whatever we can to make sure that the sites are there. Because I understand the leadership thing. Leadership is probably one of the most underrated, unspoken things out there, but a good leader can squeeze out more out of people that they didn't even know they had. And so when that happens, it's a great environment. Everybody wins. And so, yeah, we'll make sure that we do what we can to make sure this is the best year. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Campos. Trustee Garcia.
I think I already said it. Welcome back. I want to give a special shout out to that gentleman in the corner right there, Deputy Magdaleno. Thank you for everything you do. I know you're in a thankless position, but thank you. We appreciate you and everything that you and your colleagues do for us. I want to thank Jason and Nathaniel as well for everything you guys do. It takes a lot to be in your positions and all the sacrifices you guys give from your families to do the deed for the community, essentially. You talked about the bus riding. We will be as supportive as you need us to be. And I'm pretty sure we will get it resolved quickly because we have one of the best teams here in the state. So I'm very confident in that. And then I also want to highlight, I too agree, you guys should be trained on toileting. If it's an issue, talk to Kurt, talk to whoever you have to, and it'll work out. It always has and it always will. And if not, then, we'll come and talk to them too and see what we come up with. I think that's it, other than you capitalized on the leadership, and I couldn't agree more. So thank you for everybody.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Trustee Vallejo.
I also want to echo with what my board members have said. Union reps are so important, and I see that you guys take full advantage of your roles. And I guess you can say, we do love hearing concerns because that's what we want. So, again, we do have a really great team. If you feel like it's not really working out, you can always contact us, and then we'll kind of make sure that kind of runs smoothly because that is what we're here for. I also want to mention, I always like to speak on a lot of city events that are coming up for the city of Paris. It's a great city, and I always want staff and students to know what the current events are coming up. So just to let you guys know, and then if you guys also want to share, on September 8th, we have the End of Summer Splash at Enchanted Hills Park. We're going to play the Super Mario movie. I saw it the other day. It was pretty cool. I liked it. We're going to have games. We're going to have inflatables. And it's just a really great way for community engagement and for all the students to see what the city has out there to offer. So that's one that is also coming up. Also want to also thank the district as well that I also went to the Footsteps to Freedom tour. It was a monumental feeling, it was emotional, but it was also very educational. And if you have the chance to go, please go, because you learn things that you would have never thought you learned, but you also gain really great relationships and great networking that now I believe that I actually have lifelong relationships that people that I can count on. I also want to thank so much Cassandra McNair. You were amazing on that trip. You were always there trying to make sure how I was feeling. You're just amazing. Keep on being amazing. And I just want to make sure that everyone has a really great first semester and then also a second semester. But if you guys have any questions or concerns, please let us know because we're always going to be here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vallejo. Myself, Trustee Stafford, just want to echo. I actually did not know the system of how people got the paras got on the bus and how they started work. And that's pretty amazing to me that I didn't know that. And so we will definitely look into that. And the toileting, of course, should be standard training and whatever ideas. The people that do the job can tell you the best about it and the most about it. So I'm sure we can solve those issues. As one who is getting a little older and have a couple of grandkids, I know how important it is that training kids and doing things consistently This year, I hope that I can make more events and be a little more out there due to the fact that, of course, Papa gets pushed aside once school starts, and they don't need you. They don't need you anymore. I really enjoyed the past few years taking care of my grandkids, and now I'm going to come back to school and learn from what the students are doing now. So I'm ready for them when they get a little bigger. So thank you guys for everything. So okay. So with that, we'll move on. Okay, we have 10.1, which is invitation to address the Board of Trustees on non-agendized items. Are there any public comments on non-agendized items?
We do have comments this evening, Mr. Stafford.
Okay, I have to read the rules. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. So with that, we'll get started.
Okay, the first, we have site concerns at Pinacati Middle School. I think Blake Burnett was giving her time to Vicki. Is that what was happening? So Vicki Mueller is going to be speaking on behalf of Blake also, so they would have 6 minutes.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Bennett, Board. Thank you. It's very difficult to come here before you tonight. Thank you for your attention and patience in hearing our concerns regarding the administration at Pinacati. These issues are being brought forth with a genuine desire for improvement, prioritizing the best interests of our students and the entire school community. We would also like a written report, a response regarding our concerns when we're done with this. Before we share our concerns, we would like to offer a humble suggestion for the way forward. Transparency. A clear and open line of communication is imperative. Decisions affecting our school, staff, and students should be shared and explained, ensuring that everyone is informed. Valuing staff input. Our collective expertise and experience have consistently proven to be a valuable asset in the past. Recognizing and leveraging this strength can lead to more effective problem solving and better outcomes for our students. Professionalism and civility. A respectful and collegial atmosphere fosters positive interactions, collaboration, and productive work environment. Ensuring all communications maintain this standard is crucial. Addressing safety concerns. The well-being of our students and staff is paramount. Safety concerns must be promptly addressed with clear communication to all relevant parties regarding resolutions and preventative measures. Presenting these concerns and suggestions, we hope for a more cohesive, safe, and effective learning environment at Pinacati. We trust in the board's commitment to excellence and believe that with collaboration, we can achieve the best for our students. Thank you for your time, and we ask you for your patience and understanding. I'd like to start by first addressing conduct and civility and respect. We're going to be handing you the Board Policy 1313, which lays out the board policy of civility and respect. They are not being adhered to. Instead of encouraging open dialogue, there seems to be a culture of fear and retaliation against those who do voice concerns. Reports of intimidation, bullying, and even stress-induced health issues amongst our staff cannot be ignored. The intended model of a shared leadership has devolved into mere information dissemination. The lacking genuine collaboration interactions with the administrator have occasionally been met with unprofessional behavior, such as eye-rolling, shrugging, and other things when you address concerns. It's disheartening to witness the devaluation and dehumanizing behavior towards our students and our staff. Office turnover. You know, they say that the office staff is the heart or the engine of a school. Our engine is broken. We've had a significant turnover in our office staff. A considerable number have left, attributing their exits to a bullying and hostile work environment created under the current administration. Despite what should be a transparent and inclusive administrative approach, the current atmosphere seems to favor a closed-door policy. Many staff members report that expressing concerns or providing feedback results in retaliation. This culture of fear has permeated all levels of our school, affecting both certificated and classified members. The gravity of this situation has been made even clearer by the tangible repercussions it has on our staff's well-being. Again, several staff members have conveyed their fear of our principal, with one even experiencing such extreme stress that it necessitated them in seeking medical treatment. Additionally, I'm going to say this, Pinocate, the persistent mispronunciation of our school's name by our principal feels like a slur to our school and community, considering that the majority of our students and parents in the community are Spanish speakers. Additionally, it is unacceptable that meetings do not offer translation services for our Spanish-speaking attendees. It's evident that the present administration's approach is not aligned with the values, needs, and expectations of our school community. We kindly request that a dialogue to collaboratively address these concerns for the betterment of Pinocate. I'm done with my time. I'm finished. Thank you.
The next speaker will be Tricia Stainer, and she's going to be taking 3 minutes from Lori Thornton also, so she'd be up for 6 minutes also. Am I correct?
Good evening. My name is Tricia Stanier, and I have been teaching English at Pinocate for 7 years. I have taught Paris students for over 22 years, and I love this school community dearly. Paris students and families mean the world to me. To start, I have worked tirelessly over the last 4 years as the Title I coordinator at Pinocate. I have worked diligently to build relationships with parents, teachers, and students to create a positive school environment as well as a school site council. I have worked with the principals to ensure that the school site plan is followed to a T and aligns with the 4 LCAP goals. Our English learner coordinator, Rosa Heredia, and I have been working side by side to make sure our English learner students are getting the Title I funding that they need to ensure students are on their way to reclassification. We go above and beyond our teaching assignments and coordinator positions and attend numerous parent advisory committees, ELAC meetings, school site council trainings, PELI meetings, and a lot more. My most important responsibility as Title I coordinator was to facilitate and foster relationships with the staff to ensure that Title I funding was spent to the last penny and used to buy much-needed supplies, educational technology licenses, and equipment. Just to name a few of the purchases, I was able to ensure that Title I funding provide every teacher with a brand-new document camera, much-needed updated classroom libraries, science lab equipment, and endless supplies to differentiate instructions for our students. The list is endless on the amount of supplies that I've been able to purchase with Title I funding. I worked hard to build a solid bridge between Pinacotty and the Department of Student Services so that we work together to provide the best for Pinacotty students and teachers. In addition, I have worked with business services and our school accountants over the years to streamline the ordering process to ensure our school receives their supplies as quickly and as efficiently as possible. When I asked the principal last May if she would like me to continue with this position for the 23-24 school year, I was given a thumbs up. When given my preliminary teaching assignment at the end of June, there was no Title I release period. When given my preliminary, as disappointed as I was, I decided that my work as Title I coordinator would have to end this year, as the workload is just too much for me to handle with only an extra 43 minutes during the instructional day. I asked throughout the summer for an explanation and was emailed that the district no longer provides release periods for this position. Everyone here knows that Pinacotty Middle School has different needs. It's unique and it has its own separate challenges. I would like you to reconsider this position and its importance so that next school year, Pinacotty can continue to build relationships with important stakeholders to meet the needs of our students. Regarding our master schedule, the handling of our master schedule is a glaring point of contention. Its present state showcases stark discrepancies. While some classes stand empty, others are greatly over capacity with over 60 students. Such imbalances don't merely represent administrative oversight, but actively disadvantage our students, hampering their learning environment. Given our existing challenges with our test scores, it's perplexing that the year hasn't commenced on a stronger footing. The administration is saying it will take up to 5 weeks for these scheduling issues to be fixed. This delay forces teachers into an unenviable position. They cannot initiate their content-based instruction, fully aware that the students they currently have may not be the ones they'll teach after the 5-week mark. Today, I gained 10 new students and lost another 10 students in a different class. This limbo not only affects the continuity and quality of education, but also places undue stress on both educators and students. The latter, unfortunately, suffer the most, becoming unintended victims of administrative inefficiencies. They are left without structured lessons at a critical time, and it's unjust for our students to face such setbacks, given that they deserve consistent, equitable, and a quality education. Today, I also had a student that has had her schedule moved 3 and 4 times in the last 2 days, and she's never been notified of that change. I had to notify her. I also had to print out her schedule for her the last 2 days, 4 times. Furthermore, it is worth noting that our teaching staff, devoted to ensuring a smooth start to the school academic year, we have volunteered our time during the summer to help. Many teacher experts provided the administration with detailed reports.
Can I yield my time to Ms. Steiner?
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you. Many teacher experts, some of them are sitting here tonight, provided the administration with detailed reports, spreadsheets, and lists to aid in the master schedule creation. Despite these proactive efforts, their suggestions were ignored, and the schedule remains chaotic, raising questions about the administrative processes in place. Regarding our special education students, Normally, special education students are grouped into different classes and a collaboration schedule is created to reflect this grouping. This year, however, due to the administration deciding to make a master schedule without the input of the departments, a collaboration schedule is still in flux. This makes it difficult to place special education students correctly to match the services they require that are written in their IEPs. In regards to our academic English elective or academic English 1 or 2 students, once the ELA department chair met with the administration to review teachers' assignment preferences for this year, a meeting was scheduled to have a separate meeting with the chair and the English learner lead. Both stressed the importance of proper placement. To that end, the English department met during PLC time to create a spreadsheet with teacher recommendations for the 7th grade ELs and for their 8th grade year. These recommendations were based on LPAC scores and their current Lexile levels. Those recommendations do not seem to be taken into consideration, and the EL students are still being moved around. There's a palpable sense of disorganization, starting with the allocation of essential supplies, such as paper and pencils. For instance, despite making timely requests for the academic year's supplies, classrooms weren't adequately equipped on the first day of school. In regards to our 2 days of student orientation, no textbooks were given out either day, nor were new Chromebooks given out to all 7th graders that were incoming, because they weren't ordered on time. There was no administration present on one full day. There were only 3 stations available to our students for 2 days. They got their ID cards and their PE clothes, and they received no schedules. In regards to leadership meetings, the established leadership team feels excluded from planning and decision-making, leading to flawed actions like improper student placement, zero communication with department chairs on adding or eliminating courses, and changing teacher assignments within the department.
Can I yield my time to her, please?
That's fine.
Thank you, sir. This breach in collaboration directly goes against the department chairperson's job description. Essential protocols such as providing meeting agendas in advance are not being upheld as laid out in the established PRC/SRC ground rules and protocols. And then I just want to add that the 2 days of orientation, I worked 1/2 of a day, and I did have to go home because I was so disappointed in telling all of the parents that there were no schedules for the students and that there were no Chromebooks. So I ended up going home that day. And I did not volunteer by time for the first time in 7 years. I yield my time, correct? To Christopher Lara.
We have a card from Mr. Lara, and he was taking Ms. Carroll's time also.
Yes.
So the Christopher Lara.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, board members, Mr. Bennett, our lovely others here. I come before you to also echo these concerns that my fellow colleagues have been speaking about. I'm going to be talking about safety. My name is Christopher Lara. This is my 9th year at Pinacati Middle School. I am an 8th grade U.S. history teacher. I am also the department chair for history at Pinacati Middle School, so I have been present for a lot of these leadership meetings that have been already talked about. Pinacati has been my only home as a teacher. This is my 9th year teaching and my 9th year at this district, at that site, so I love that school. I love those students that come to me every year. So me speaking out here is because of my passion of doing what's right. So I want to first start off by speaking about our campus supervisors. Again, I'm going to be talking about safety and just how not great it is, to put it very nicely. Our school right now only has 2 campus supervisors for 900 students. Actually, 980 is what I heard, what our number is. 2 campus supervisors. We should have more. Right now, the rest are subs. But our other full-time permanent ones left because of how horrible they were being treated by admin with their lack of respect, lack of communication, lack of appreciation, and lack of trying to help them out dealing with student situations. On that note, fights have been really bad this last few years, or last year, as well as I'm assuming they might start picking up again soon. Students have already expressed being threatened by other students, and I have yet to see any action being taken. But last year, we had multiple fights in one day go on. One day, there was 7 fights. Another time, a student made it public that she was going to attack another student. Supervisors did everything they could. They would escort that student that was being threatened. Nothing was done by admin. That girl that was threatening the other girl walked out of class, walked into another class, and fought her. There was nothing anyone could do that had actually been trying to help. Admin dropped the ball on it. Speaking of fights and other disciplinary issues, we have noticed that there is an alarming trend regarding handling of student referrals. Previous years, we would fill out a Google form, and office staff would then enter that form into Infinite Campus. Teachers would often find that their referrals would either go unaddressed, they would be done untimely, so a few weeks later, we finally see the referral pop up. We'd also would notice that words were altered. If we put in there was a fight, it got changed to horseplay, even though fists were being thrown at one another. Or they just weren't entered at all. I have had several referrals never entered. Such a policy, whether intentional or not, skews the data at our site as well as what student referrals are for and what's going on. This provides a distorted representation which fails to accurately reflect the actual events that are going on. This year, we are supposed to be entering our own referrals. I have told admin at the start of the year, we need proper training. They said, I can just come on by their office anytime. The staff is not properly trained on how to enter referrals into Infinite Campus. To talk more about some of the issues that we have seen this last year and starting to see this year, there have been instances where emergency protocols such as a hold and secure last week was called. We don't know why that was called. There have been other instances where students are doing very heinous stuff on campus, and it's being either, again, not documented or basically being put in as lower actions. In one example, a teacher was threatened by a student last year. Nothing ever came of it. Another example, on Tuesday of last week, I was sexually harassed in front of my entire class by a student. Admin has done nothing to address that situation. Another example from last year, a student was on the balcony of our 400 building brandishing a weapon that students believed was real. Nothing was done. We were never told about it. There was no lockdown call to investigate what was going on with that. These are the things that we are experiencing at this site. It is a very, very big safety concern. When these concerns are brought up at leadership, I brought these things up multiple times. Others have brought these up multiple times. We are either ignored, we are told it will be handled. All last year we said next year will be better, or we are told that no one told them. That is the response that I got again on Monday in my leadership meeting when I said, let's address these concerns. They told me they didn't know that these concerns were going on. Furthermore, our principal also at that same meeting made a joke how she was not done with her safety trainings. And with that, she was insinuating that she basically does not care about safety, which does show. Myself and others feel that what is going on at Pinacati is beyond unsafe. It's unsafe for staff. It's unsafe for students. We fear of retaliation for speaking out. I'm now always watching my back because of all the speaking out I'm finally doing. And it is not a safe place, unfortunately, for anyone. And so I yield my time to whoever would like to go. Otherwise, thank you so much, though, for listening.
would like to make just one more comment. I didn't properly introduce myself, but I'm Vicki Mueller. I've been at Pinacati since 1999. This is my 25th year. And I am not in any leadership position anymore. I am just a classroom teacher now. And when other members come to you so concerned and ask you to speak on their behalf, you have to take it seriously. And so I am one of the teachers that was repeatedly harassed last year by students, and it was totally ignored. I mean, to banging on my door, throwing things at me, entering referrals, they would disappear or never get addressed. And to the point where, you know, very, very difficult to come to school every day. Very difficult, because you don't know how safe you're going to be. And my colleague was one of the teachers that was threatened. The student told her he was going to kill her. And it was just, oh, he's just, you know, he's special ed, he's just saying those things. But yet, what, 2 or 3 months later, he was one of them in the park that had a gun to another student's head. So we need to take this seriously. We need some serious trainings. We need some serious muscle at our site. We need some people to understand that it is a powder keg down there, and it needs to be addressed. I don't want Pinacati to be the next school on the 7 o'clock or whatever time they're showing news now. I don't want us to be that school, but I'm telling you, we're moving that way if we don't get this under control. And I don't want to be that teacher that's protecting my children. Okay, thank you very much for listening to us tonight. Again, we would like a response to our concerns, and I will provide you a copy.
Okay. We're going to move now to the consent calendar, 11.1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson. Trustee Garcia. You can vote electronically. Any questions, concerns? Eleven point one passes 5 in favor with 0 opposed. We'll go now to oral reports, 12.1, semester 2 update. Ed Services will do a presentation.
Let's adjust this for my height.
Actually introduce Mr. Snow, I'm sorry. As you know, you hired a new director of curriculum and instruction this evening, and we're very excited about that. But Mr. Sennett has for a very long time been the coordinator of curriculum instruction. So in the absence, normally this presentation would be done by the director. I want to thank him for stepping up and presenting you some really encouraging data tonight. But Mr. Sennett, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Good evening, Board President, Mr. Stafford, esteemed board members, trustees, Superintendent Bennett, and the cabinet. I'm just getting my bearings here, so I think we all are a little bit, so I'm just taking a second. So I have some good news, so we're going to talk some good news at least. So here we are. So I'm here to present to you on DNF grade data. Oh, I have a clicker, so here we go. I'm going to show you quite a few charts and graphs tonight, but I'm going to really try to just make it easy, like get to the point, keep this about 5 to 10 minutes. So if you need more information, you can just feel free to ask. Yeah, you're good with 5-10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm in the interest of speeding this, I'm just gonna really speed this up. But again, if it's too fast, you're like, Mark, slow down. I really need clarification. I will slow down. Okay, we got it. So you guys are not new to these charts. You guys have seen this before. Pre-baseline before COVID. Okay, data tells a story. So I'm going to tell a story through data. I'm not going to do a big old story arc, but I'm just going to tell a quick story through data. We have our pre-COVID baseline here. This was our DNF rate prior to COVID, 13.2%. COVID hits, and we all know that struggle, and we have a failure rate of 27.2%. And now it's tracking down. And our current year, so I'm starting with very good news, and then I can just end it, but I will go through some graphs real quick. We are back to 13.2% after 3 years, which is fantastic. Almost looks fake. Like they match like extremely 13.2, 13.2. Like the pandemic, we talk about it being over. Grade-wise, it is officially over. As we focus on these big color charts, I've been messing around with what to call it. The best I can come up with is Skittles. We're all tasting the rainbow tonight as we look at these charts. We can look at this and we can see that in language arts data, we just talk about how these charts are laid out. We have blue and green at the top. We have red and orange at the bottom. And we're going to want to see more blue and green each year and less red and orange. And so this is language arts data. I'm starting with this one first. We can see that A's and B's have had a decrease, with D's and F's have declined across the board, which is fantastic. So one thing that all groups, and this data is really just a celebration of our teachers and students. This is not admin data. This is teacher and student data. Okay, so we could see all of the hard work. We've heard from some of our colleagues tonight. Teachers have been working hard. They're working hard during COVID. They're working hard now. That's how we got back to 13.2%. And I want to highlight Penicotti on this chart. We can look at Penicotti there. Even looking at last semester, 8th grade, look at the reduction in the red. Teachers are working hard. They have brought down in that 8th grade category. Look how small that is. That is fantastic. And that's the teachers that were just talking to you right now. Hard workers. As we move on, if we look at our subgroup, if we split it up by subgroup, we're going to see that our African American and Hispanic subgroups have reduced their D's and F's by 20% since the pandemic. That's huge. Moving forward, looking at all schools, I want to highlight, well, all of our schools, downward trend. That's what you want to see in data, especially when you're trying to lower D's and F's, is a downward bar, and we can see that on every single measure. I want to highlight Heritage High School on this bar, which you can see they're up there at 42. It's actually hard for me to see the numbers, and probably for you too, but they were up at 42 and they've dropped down to 27. Also, you look at schools like Paris High School. If you take the blue and go to that, on your screen it's dark green. This is a celebration of teachers and students. That is
42 to 17.3.
Yeah, I can't see except yeah, I have contacts and I can't see that. Yeah, so yeah, it's awesome though. Still celebrating our teachers and students once again. So we're going to go to math. We're going to see in math that it's mostly, at Penicotti it's static. We could see that there's a little bit increase in D's and F's, but it's static across every other grade level. We have our 12th graders. If you look at that big jump, coming at 21%, just second semester the year before, to 9%. Another huge jump. When we take a look at Penicotti, it's not, we have plans. The teachers actually came in during the summer, met with myself and the RCOE team that is coming in to help Penicotti this year. They gave up their summer to come in. They are working on targeted interventions, curriculum mapping, pacing, high leverage academic strategies, and we will be pulling them out once a month to meet together to focus on math. And that'll be the work that we do at Penicotti. Looking at our subgroups once again, we can see that our African American and Hispanic subgroups have still had a great reduction looking at the charts. Translating that to what it would look like by school, we have CMI and Paris High with the greatest. You can see the big giant Paris High blue go all the way down to that green. This is what you want to see when you're looking at data. This is the story that data is telling, showing you that even in math, which is a problem all across the state, we are still lowering these scores. Our teachers and students are still doing a great job. Moving along, now that we're getting used to the Skittles chart, and you guys should have a copy of this if you really want to study it. I have studied it, and it'll tell you various stories. And we could see on this chart that A's and B's have slightly improved across all grade levels. Still fantastic. When we break this also down by subgroups, we also can see that our Hispanic population has had a great decrease once again. Again, from 36% down to 18% this year. Here's by school. We can see Heritage and Paris High School and Panacotti all showing great improvement. Improvement by everybody, but I want to highlight 3 more schools. Going now into social science, back to the Skittles, we could see that we have mostly static data with a big reduction in D's and F's in 9th grade. If you look at that 9th grade there, we got big old 16%, and I can't even read a number because it's not even there anymore. Going to our demographic data, we have a downward movement in every single subgroup once again, still fantastic data. And then as we look at the school charts, I want to of course highlight Panacotti, Paris High for their reductions, but I want to send a special little shout out to CMI right there from 12% to 1.3%. That it's just uncanny. Like I said, I came to give you good news. So going back to the first slide, in summary, we are back. We have recovered from the pandemic, and as we take care of our staff and students, because one of the things we did last year is you can't take care of anybody if you haven't taken care of yourself. And from an ed services and from all of us in this room, we decided to take care of our staff. Just take care of our staff. And they took care of our students. And the data tells that story. It's just fantastic. But with that, we always want to return to rigor because we still need to serve all kids. There's some kids that get it. We're going to still need to increase that rigor always. And with data like this, we're at a spot where we can now go forward and keep moving. And so that's why I say it's good news. It's good data. We are looking at good stuff. So our goal here is of 10%. You know, some could say that's lofty. That's a lofty goal. But I just said we just made it through a pandemic. So it kind of shows that we, all of us, can do anything in this district. So I personally like the 10%, and I think that we can do it. I think setting rigor and setting us with high standards, we are just creating success for all of our students. So we've come back, and now we could be better and stronger than ever, pandemic or no pandemic. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. We'll go now to our next written report, 13.1. General Functions, Quarterly Uniform Complaint Report, Summary for April/June 2023. Our next written report is 13.2, Discipline for June 2023, Monthly Suspension Report. We move now to action items, 14.1, General Functions. Discussion regarding Bill AB 223, Change of Gender and Sex Identifier, and Request for Authorization for Advocacy. Do I have a motion? Trustee
Second.
Campos, Trustee Nellis. Okay. Yeah, Campos is. Mr. Campos? Steve?
Yeah.
You're going to talk on this?
Yeah, so a couple things. Just so you know, there's a lot of bad bills going on in Sacramento at the moment. This particular one, well, there's a few here that I'll be addressing and for a trip, but predominantly it's going to be AB 1078. But AB 223, change of gender and sex identifier. According to Ed Code, parents of currently enrolled or former pupils have an absolute right to access any and all pupil records related to their children that are maintained by school districts or private schools. The editing or withholding of any of those records, except as provided in this chapter, is prohibited. And so what this bill is trying to move forward is it's trying to allow minors to try to legally change their name and their gender, and for that to be kept a secret from the parents. One of the things that, and I believe the reference to that was AB 1266. And so I'm not particularly, on this particular day that we're going to be going, for me to lobby in Sacramento, is not necessarily for this one, although I can speak to the author of the bill if they're available. And so it's just one of those things, kind of the general theme is basically parent notification, making sure that parents are aware of what's going on with their child at the school. You know, if a kid gets hurt, you call the parent. Anything happens to a student, you call the parent. And so we just want, I personally, and what I'm asking for the board is a consensus to make sure that we are making sure that I know me as an elected official here, I represent the parents and their students. And so I want to make sure that the parents are fully aware of what's going on and things that are going on in the school districts. And that's basically.
So
Mr.
Stafford.
One question. This is an action item, correct? And what exactly are you asking of us for to take action on?
Okay, so, and I didn't know that the way it was set up. So I'm asking on April 21st, no, I'm sorry, not April.
August 21st.
Yeah, the 21st, coming up Monday. They're having a lobbying day, and it's really for AB 1078, but we'll get to that in a minute. And so what I'm asking for is to go up, to get a consensus from the board, to be able to go to Sacramento and to lobby for these particular bills, and more specifically 1078, and I'll address that when that bill comes up. But it's basically to just go up there, and I'm going to fly up, fly back down. There's a rally, and then there's hopefully a meeting set up with some of the legislators to make sure that we can express where we stand on these positions.
So, Mr. Campos, you're looking to go up and lobby against this bill?
Yes.
That's, I think, what the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're asking to represent us in lobbying against this bill?
Yes.
On Monday?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then obviously for the flight accommodations to fly up and back.
No, you got to walk.
I could drive it, but I could do Grant can drive it.
Yeah, I've got experience of that.
We had a motion in a second, yes.
Okay, so we can, any other discussion? Let's, I'm not too clear on it and not sure that I agree with it, so.
Yeah, I was also reading ahead of time to try to get the specifics of it. And are there any benefits to this bill that are being touted? That you can tell?
Not that I can see. I mean, for me, basically, any time that you're withholding any information from parents, you break a bond of trust. And I just don't think that's a good area for school districts and educators to be in.
My question, we seem to be lacking concern for mental health here, the mental health of the student. A lot of students don't tell their parents, they might wait till college or much older. This allows them to be somewhat identified or pointed out as you're this, and now what are you, a criminal, or what's the purpose?
No, okay, so two different things. Number one, I know a lot of people think it's like you're outing somebody. You're really not. And the reality is from what I've been hearing from our health and welfare centers, is that the students, if they have a concern, let's just say they're afraid to tell their parents for whatever reason. If they say, I have a feeling, my dad will beat me or this, that, and the other. Well, we're mandated reporters. I mean, that we would then have to take action, and we would have the support services and resources here at school from what I'm aware of. That's just by law. And this is basically just saying, okay, If that's the situation, then obviously we go through whatever channels we have to. But it's also not playing, how would I say it? Just not being transparent with parents. Because, so, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but okay, so me as an educator, a child can go into the system, into IC, where I work, we have IC, they can change their gender and their name without parent consent.
I don't necessarily agree with that, no.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that they can, and that's what this, so this bill is opposing that, basically saying, hey, look, let's put protocols together so that if this is a situation, if it's a mental health concern or whatever it is, we have a team of people here, we have parents, let's get together, let's resolve this. And it's basically, this is basically saying the parents don't have a role in this, and this should, the kids should have their privacy rights and not have to consult a parent.
I believe the age range was 12.
It's 12, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What concerns me is the kids, the student, that you could have suicides, you could have bullying, you could have a lot of things result from this. You can have this used to target people. You can, I graduated high school in 1977. We knew who was gay and who was what who was who in the school. We didn't need some bill to tell us who was what. And this is like an intrusion of students have the right to be students. Nobody was hanging around over anybody's head here when they were in high school saying, what are you?
Right.
And I'm going to tell your parents X, Y, Z. I mean, you could actually blackmail somebody with something like this. These are students. They have a certain right as human beings to not be subjected as though they're just part of some law that someone creates.
Well, if I could interject, if I'm correct, they're trying.
Can you turn your mic on?
Oh, my bad. The state is trying to implement laws to keep parents out of their children's lives because they feel the school can make better choices than parents. And that's what's being advertised right now. I understand what we're all talking about, but I want to kind of go back to this. So you want to represent us, and you're asking for the cost to be covered, as well as what else?
That's it.
That's it?
Well, to be able to speak on behalf of the board, because I can speak as an individual.
Second now.
Okay.
Some things in here I did say I agree with, some I don't. So why is this all lumped together that someone gets total control over someone's life if something as serious as this? You know,
You have to ask the governor, the one's doing all that.
you're lumping it all together into one big ball, and there are different subjects here. There's different subject matter here.
So, so for this, and to be honest with you, all of these, the real purpose for my intent would be AB 1070, because it kind of covers an overarching, but these are other bills that are out there that I could also speak at. And so the one thing is just, the big thing is transparency with parents. And I think in a lot of these bills that are set up, there's an assumption that parents are like the boogeymen and women. And it's not necessarily so. Now, we understand life. Life is not perfect. You have good parents, you have bad parents. That exists. And so we're just trying to, in this one, what I would like to do is just to make sure that we are, and to mention, or to answer one of your questions earlier, the kids know, like, who's what. That's not the issue. And in today's world, believe it or not, kids are very accepting. Now, there are kids who are just mean, and that's never going to change. That's been around since forever. But it's not, this isn't a kid thing, or this is just making sure that we're not put in a position where we're withholding information that's going on with their child at school.
And just so I'll just kind of clarify a little bit, what the Assembly Bill 223 is doing is forbidding the school to contact the parents and let them know what if their kid's transgender, changing their name, whatever that case may be. Right.
Triggers that?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
Did something trigger that?
If the student, well, on this bill 22223, nothing would trigger it. They're just not, if the kid came to you and said, I'm gay, you can't, in this bill says you can't call his mom and say, this is what the kid told me today. Does that make
But
sense?
but there's other things that, like I say, attached to it, like,
All the different categories?
yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. There's,
Yeah.
am I transgender? Am I gay? Am I
Well,
lesbian?
it could be a name as well.
Am I non-binary, binary?
I don't agree with someone changing their name just like that, no.
Well, right, and so that would be in support of me going, but,
But that,
yeah.
but you've got this other thing attached to it that I don't agree with.
Which one?
The school reporting to the parents. You think you're the boogeyman, boy, once you do that, you split that family up. You don't know how teenagers act once they get to be teenagers? They turn on you anyway. Don't. I got the kids to prove
And
it.
again, on this one, if you don't have consensus, I'm okay with it. At the end of the day, it's 80-10-78 that I want, but.
Okay, well, let's go. I just fully understand and want people to have.
Would you like Dr. McNair to share something also, or?
Do we have?
Yeah, actually, can I just say something really quickly? I read this bill too, and I saw that the author was Assemblymember Christopher Ward from San Diego. And when I read the bill, I read what the bill, like what he states the bill is. So it's what he states that this is what this bill is going to do. And he says, allowing our children to choose when and how they decide to share their personal details is vital in protecting their mental and physical health. I can, say from the news that we all see, it says it's protecting against transgender and non-binary youth. They are the most to get bullied and murdered in the whole world. It's not even just our state, it's the whole world. So what he's saying is he just wants to protect them. And a name and a pronoun, that's I believe that's someone's right. And I don't know if you guys saw it too. I don't know if I need clarification, but I also read in that bill that says, under existing law, parent authorization is required for changing vital records for those under 18 years of age, unless if they have been emancipated by the court. So just to be clear of that as well. But I feel like
That's what he's saying, is that the law would change that, so the parent would not have that.
And it's also not official. These are in our system. So for example, we have Infinite Campus in Temecula. And I believe someone mentioned here we have Infinite Campus. And so a student can go in and tell their teacher, let's just say their name's Johnny. They can say, or counselor, can you change my name? I'm Johnny, but I want to be Sally now. And change my gender from male to X. At least that's how they do it. That's what kids are doing in middle school in my area. They change it to X. And so, and all the kids know, like they all know, because they all refer to each other by the new names. And so, as a teacher, I'll give you an example. End of the year, I had a situation where a student had changed their gender, changed their name. I received an email from a parent about, they weren't very happy about the grade and different things going on in the class. The father referenced the daughter as daughter and also by her given name. There was a lot in there, and I wanted to make a phone call to address the situation, but I haven't been given, and this is what I talked about earlier, I was never given information on how to handle it. And so what I was getting, because I don't know what mom and dad communicated, he's actually in the military and away and didn't know what was going on. And so the way I was gonna address it, because I got no direction from the school district, I was basically gonna say, I know that you have referenced your daughter by her name and as a daughter, but with respect to the daughter's rights, right, and the parent, because the mom was aware of it, I was gonna ask, how would you like me to address your child? Because you're supposed to protect the rights of the kid and then now the parent. And so as an educator, I'm stuck in the middle. And if I say something and it's the first time the parent hears it, that can cause a problem. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, well, why am I the bearer of, I don't want to say bad news, why am I the bearer of the news? And so in the process, what so if this doesn't happen, what we want to happen is to say, hey, this change is happening, communicate with the parents, and believe it or not, most parents are okay with it. We have a few at our school, and actually this particular one, the mom, when we went to parent conference, explained to me everything. I just didn't meet dad, didn't know the dad situation. But there are some situations where the parents aren't aware of it. And whether that be, and that's the speculation, I don't know. I'm a PE teacher, I'm not asking them, I'm not a counselor, I'm not asking, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? I can kind of refer them to the counselor, to whatever services we have, but it's like I'm stuck there. And then if a parent were to ask me, did you know about this? I get put in a very difficult situation. And then I have to defer to administration, and it goes from there. And so it's basically being transparent with parents. And, in terms of the deaths to the protected classes, I don't know if that's coming at the hands of the parents or just society. Because this is just saying the parents. You want to address the parents. It's their kid's in the system. I don't know if you know, but this is kind of along these lines. But if you had a child and you went to the doctor, and the doctor wanted to ask, there was something that the doctor wanted to ask the child, the doctor gets permission from the child, and they can ask, do you want me to remove your parent in a setting of a doctor's office? I don't know about you, but that session would end, because I'm not leaving my child with a doctor to probe or do whatever, because that kid is my responsibility. And so that's kind of where it's kind of in the same boat. We're keeping the parents out. And all I'm saying is, hey, let's resolve this, and let's make sure everybody's involved. Let's all work together to find a solution.
I don't think this bill is necessarily saying to not be transparent. Their main bill was for privacy and safety of the student. There might be a lot of parents out there, or a couple, who are okay with it, but we also have to take care of the students where the parents are not okay with it, and they're against it, and then those students become suicidal. I also read on the bill that transgender and non-binary youth are 2 to 2.5 times are likely to experience depressive suicide and attempt suicide compared to their cisgender LGBTQ peers. And I think that concerns me. What concerns me more is a child attempting to commit suicide than a parent just getting mad because their child changed a name and a pronoun,
I think that's an assumption, because there are parents that would want to get involved and be supportive, regardless.
But it's on the kid's right to decide when when they want to tell their parent, because
And that's the privacy part. So the part that you're talking or speaking to is the privacy part. And what I'm saying is, so that privacy part is eliminating the parent. And again, we can take a consensus up or down on this one. It wasn't my main one. I mean, personally, I'll knock them all off and just say, that's the one I'm concerned about more so is AB 1078.
That one.
And I don't know if that's, so we can, I know you just asked a couple more, when you had asked on the request grant, and do those out there, because these are some, there's a ton of that bill, but that wouldn't be there for my purposes. My purposes would be, really AB 1078.
yeah.
Main purpose,
Yeah.
yes, but these would be others.
Yeah, can I just have Miss McNair come and say a few words? Because I know she specializes in this, and I also want to know about your input, just in case if we're missing something.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent Bennett, and the trustees. I wasn't scheduled to speak tonight. However, what I was going to just add to the conversation is that we do have a number of Senate bills and Assembly bills that already are on California's books that protect our students. And so the board would be deciding today to possibly go against some of those Senate bills and Assembly bills that are already in place. And so if you would like, I could provide you with a short few slide presentation for you to review that I just presented to our CARES team on last week, if you want to know what we already have in place. And so I can send that to the superintendent, and he can provide that to you, just so that you can have some background information. That's all I was going to add to the conversation. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. McNair. Well, I'm not sure if Mr. Campos was saying he wanted to pull these off the agenda.
Well, so here's what we can do. Let's go ahead, let's move on with AB2 since we've had the discussion, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So we had somebody call for the vote. So do you just need to make sure, to clarify what it means if you vote yes or no?
Right, so I would,
Not in support of this, which is-
right, so,
And that it's sending him to represent us.
But
to
you've
not
got,
be in support of this.
you've got a few of these here, is what Steve is saying, that he's talking about 1078.
no, I know, but we haven't spoken to the others. I'll speak to 1078 for sure, but what I'm saying, for the sake of time, 665, 659, we can get rid of. But I'm just saying, we discussed AB 223, so either we support it or oppose it. And if I'm going up there, then I would just do whatever I can to represent the board. Now, again, I don't have to represent the board. Understand that. I can go as an individual. But at the same time, if it's something that there's a consensus, then I would be more than willing and happy to do that.
In today's political environment, what's going on with the other districts, and it seems like the governor is gonna, may or may not step in on, what is that, Chino Hills and,
I'll be addressing that later, by the way, but, yeah.
Marietta.
Is it a good thing for us to be attaching to ourselves to this type of rhetoric? This is kind of siding with a certain political side. I feel it's more what this is about.
It depends on which way you look at it. Eventually, what these all boil down to is you are putting parents and their rights, you're putting students' rights over parent rights. And it could be politically charged if you look at it that way. It's just being transparent. I mean, I can honestly tell you that if these bills were in place when my kids were in school, I would pull them out of public schools in a heartbeat, no doubt, no question. Because they're taking away my role and my right. Now, I understand there's good parents and there's bad parents. For me, my kids, they were my world, you know, and I'm sure someday when I have grandkids, they're going to be my world as well. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure. Now, I support public schools. I want to make sure that there's a bond. I mean, most of us are the product of public schools, and I think there's a lot of good. I think a lot of these bills are starting to cause harm and damage to the profession. And it's not necessarily something good. I personally, and I don't, you know, the governor, to me, the fact that he's weighing in, bond and all these different things, that is a political move, obviously. But they're also threatening local control. And so that's really what AB 1078 is, and I'll speak to that. But at the same time, you know, I can go one way or the other. This bill we just happened to discuss, and so we can take a consensus vote and either go thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm okay with it. And then after that, I would make a motion to remove the other two and then speak to 1078.
So we can't just do a thumbs up, thumbs down because we have a motion, it's on the action.
Is it all or nothing?
On that one.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be electronic, it won't be.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's our film.
So we have a motion by trustee Garcia, but I need a second.
Oh, I'll second.
To call for the bill? Okay.
I'll second it.
So, wait a minute. 2, 2, 3.
So as you're
Campos and-
looking at voting on this, a yes vote is
Oppose.
to
Yeah, well,
to
yeah.
send him.
The yes vote is to send him and oppose this.
And yes.
Yeah.
So we have to really do each one separate, so.
Well,
We're just going to do
yeah.
this.
Yeah. Because if I were to prioritize them, it's AB 10.
So I just want to make sure everybody knew if they were voting and what each vote meant. So if you vote yes, it's telling Mr. Campos to go travel up there and lobby against this bill. A no would mean
Right.
don't.
Yeah, I don't do anything.
Okay. I personally think we're sticking our foot in the mud here, and we're gonna cause ourselves more harm than good.
Understood. And you have every right to vote however you want.
Nothing against.
No,
you, Steve.
absolutely,
You know that.
absolutely.
But we're asking for trouble here. We're asking to get sued. We're asking to jump into something midway already going on. And why?
Wait, one second.
I'll address that later.
If the Assembly bill passes and it goes into law, yes, we're required to follow it. What he's saying is, we oppose that this be passed in the first place. We're not putting ourselves against the law right now. This is proposed law. So this is not actual law right now. This is something that's been proposed by an assemblyman to be future law. So we're not putting ourselves into a legal precedent right here. All we're saying is that we don't agree with how this bill is worded, if we say yes.
That's what the other towns are doing too, but they're going a little further.
Well, if you talk about Temecula, I mean, it's different situation.
And I'm
because it's
going to end
something
up
else.
speaking to that later, so we'll get into that later. So right now, we can move forward. And
But
do this
I mean, I'm
because-
just saying, the way the way you're talking is that we're putting ourselves directly against the law right now. While we're doing, this is not law. This is just proposed law.
Well, we're picking a fight that we don't need to be in.
We're not picking a fight. All we're doing is taking a stand on whether we agree with it or not. If it becomes law because it's voted in, then yes, that's something we need to follow. But all we're doing is saying we don't necessarily agree with the bill and how it's written. That's if we say yes. That's all we're saying. We're not putting ourselves against the law at this point. You know, if it becomes law and then we say we're not going to do it, that's different than what's being proposed right now.
Well,
Okay, I'm just, with the way you worded it made me confused as to, this is not current law. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure that we all understand it.
only for advocacy.
Yeah.
Up to
Yeah, I
the
know.
middle.
The way you worded it just made me sound like you thought we were going against the law, the current law.
But someone's gonna pick up on that and use it against our district, and, or Steve, like you say, people might use it against somebody, you know, it's, why are we putting ourselves out there like that?
And that's why we have a 5-person board, so we can determine
Okay,
where we
well,
stand
that's-
as a board.
That's my question. What are we doing?
So if we can get past this one right now, I will answer all of that stuff later, because at the end of my commentary, I'm going to then address that. But it just, that's the way the order of things are going to not, otherwise we're going to have to make a motion to amend the meeting and have flexibility, because it would be something that I'm going to be addressing later on in the public comment. So, I mean, right now,
Okay.
we just take the vote and we move on, and then we'll have that further discussion, and I'll have more explanation on that.
Okay.
So they asked to call for the vote and had a second, so.
So we had a second?
Yeah,
Who was our second?
Second was Steve.
Steve?
First by Edward.
Okay. All right.
So,
Let's go back here. It's up already.
Yeah.
14.1.
So you call for the vote on 14-1.
Okay, you can vote electronically on 14.1.
Everybody voting now?
Yeah, for me, it just shows that Elizabeth and Edward haven't voted yet.
That's what shows here. Got two. Okay, just waiting on one now. Okay, the vote is 3 in favor and 2 opposed, so it passes.
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2. Okay. We'll move to 14.2.
So I'd like to make a motion to strike that one, or remove it.
Can you do that? Can you do that?
Well, I mean, for right now, just remove it, because
Okay. You ready?
We'll go to 14.3 then? Oh. Vote to remove it from the agenda?
We need a vote?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just.
Saying,
Oh,
yeah.
there it is.
You can vote electronically.
Yeah, so a yes vote just means I won't
Removes
be
the item.
talking about it.
No, no, no,
Yes
no.
vote
that means
removes
we
the item
remove
from
it.
the agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes means we remove it.
right.
No, something else.
Discussion, but I mean, on the trip.
Okay.
Sorry to clarify.
Okay, 14.3 passes, 5 in favor, 0 opposed.
14.2.
No, we're at 14.3, aren't we? Oh, 14. 14.2.
Now she just switched over.
You know, we have 1078?
No,
No,
665.
We're on 14.
No, 659.
Yeah, we can go ahead and.
Okay, we remove 14. That was just for removal, so.
I'll
14
second.
14.3 we're on.
Nelson is second, 14.3.
14.3 to remove it.
Remove it, okay. So we vote yes on this one?
I believe Ms. Betzner's making the changes right now, so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 14.3 is
Remove the agenda by a 5-0 vote.
5 in favor, 0 opposed. Yeah. Okay. Okay, 14.4.
Yeah, this is AB 1078.
This is 1078. Okay. So let's talk about.
May,
So moved.
second.
Ellison. I got this backwards. Okay. You got the floor.
Okay. So originally, AB 1078, when it was first put out, it was a bad bill, and it was basically, it was a gut and gut and amend, and so they sent it back. Now, what ended up happening was when it came back even worse than what it was in the beginning. And what triggered the second writing of it was basically the textbook adoption that was going on in Temecula. And so what they're doing here in this bill is they're basically trying to take over local control. And so what the governor, Tony Thurman, I think Bonta as well, pretty much Sacramento, they want, one of the things that I guess makes our districts, our communities, what they are is local control. And so here, what they're saying, if there's anything, and that was kind of earlier in the discussion, if we find a textbook or we find something that was adopted, because textbook adoptions usually last a long time. And let's just say there's something there that was now controversial or this, that, and the other, and people in the community find it obscene or whatever, and they want to remove it. Sacramento, if this bill passes, they're basically saying, no, you cannot remove it without a 2/3 vote, right? And I believe it was 2/3. Yeah, yeah, because the state takes control over the curriculum adoption process. And so what eventually happens is I mean, every community is different. And the way I look at it, local control is we're responsible for the constituents who elect us to obviously move a district forward in a way that they're content with the public education that they're getting and the services that they're getting. And once we start to remove any type of local code, because obviously, and we all know the difference, you know, if what happens in Paris Union, what happens at, let's just say Paris High School is going to be different than Liberty. It's going to be different than Murrieta schools. Everybody has their own different communities, and they're usually based on local control, which is why you have local elected officials. In this case, they would be school board members, to then determine what is best for that community in terms of curriculum adoption, whether it be math, science, whatever it may be. This is kind of overreach, in my opinion, by the governor and the powers that be in Sacramento to take away local control from school districts. And I think that, you know, local control is extremely important, because what's going on up in Sacramento and in San Francisco has nothing to do with what we're doing here, because I think the community here understands the community, they understand the students, the parents understand what's going on, and then we make decisions for what's best in our communities. And so this one is the one that I really want to go to represent to oppose this bill, because it's just going to start to take away. It's kind of like taking, like the Jenga block. You're taking one block away, and eventually there's really going to be no need for a school board and having local control decisions.
They're trying to put us out of business as a board.
In this situation, you know, it could be a curriculum, but yeah.
You're saying this is like the first step in
Yes.
in that process.
Because anything that they find or deem, you know, controversial or that doesn't lean, and again, and you made a reference to this too, Tony, I mean, to think that education is not political is being naive. You know, when you have the governor weighing in on a textbook curriculum, that's political, in my opinion, overreach. I mean, that is definitely, you know, politics are involved. And unfortunately, sometimes politics can do good and sometimes they could do harm. In my opinion, this bill would do harm to our local control.
Okay, so I also read this bill as well, and this bill is also called the Safe Place to Learn Act. So from what I read about this bill also is that it's a policy that prohibits discrimination, harassment, intimidation, bullying based on specified protected characteristics, and that it's a policy that applies to all aspects. Oh, wait, what else? And then it also says that it requires public schools to provide pupils with comprehensive, culturally competent, and accurate instruction about history, experiences, and viewpoints of people from different communities in California. I read this bill that they're just talking about a policy that does help about the educational goals when it comes to what we're instructing our kids to learn from. And in the whole bill, the main thing that I read, it just says that just to provide with a comprehensive, culturally competent, and accurate instruction about the history. And I believe that that is very important because we need to know what happened in history. That's why I really recommend you guys to go on the Footsteps to Freedom tour, because man, that tells you so much history that I didn't even know, that I didn't even learn from. I didn't even know about so many abolitionists, and we have to hear that cold hard truth on what the country did back in the day. I mean, it was back in the day, but we need to learn all that truth. And I saw that it was also, I think it was helped written by Assembly Member Corey Jackson.
Corey Jackson.
And I see from his profile that he is a very educated man and he believes in diversity and inclusion. And he has advocated a lot on education, how we should not, how we should just focus on accurate instruction about history experiences. And I feel like we haven't been, doing that. Like even from the history that I learned, it wasn't really accurate enough. Like they only tell you the good thing about Christopher Columbus, but then we know he's not that great when we read more about him. But I believe that this bill would actually help all the education systems on what we really need to learn from. I don't really think it's dividing between local control. They just want us to be on board with what we're teaching students.
Do you understand how the textbook adoptions are done with the California state standards? They go through all this process. So in other words, there could be nothing in a textbook that is discriminatory. So what they are teaching in these textbook adoptions is vetted by a group out, and I don't know where their political leanings are. So it's not like you would be adopting curriculum that isn't teaching history. Now, the one thing I will say about history, I mean, it's messy. You know, there's no perfect country out there, and especially their inceptions and how that was done. But what I will say too, and this is what sometimes makes it difficult, and this is really difficult for adoption, for those of you guys who have ever taught social studies or history, there's so much dang history that you can't teach it all, and we do. I would agree with you. We do a disservice in not teaching a lot of the stuff. The reality is we don't have the time. When I taught 8th grade social studies a while back, I was expected to cover the Civil War in 2 weeks. I took a college class, it was 10 weeks, and it didn't cover all of the Civil War, and it was college level. And so it's one of those things that I do agree that there's a lot of history that is not spoken of, and I've read a lot of the different things that are out there that are just terrible. I mean, there are things that happen that you can't turn your eye, and obviously, hopefully, you'll never repeat it. But we do have to operate from within a framework of what do we put in there, what's important. And a lot of times, personally, if you ask me, when you look at the history books today, they're like this thick. When we were kids, they were like that. They've taken out a lot of in my opinion, the rigor, the academic side, because you know, they think it's a burden to put, remembering dates and generals and wars and battles and this, but they're all significant. In other words, you can't go from here to here and completely understand unless you know what happened here, here, and there. And so that's one of the things that, you know, I understand. I don't think there's any textbook, I guess, curriculum that would be considered discriminatory because they are covering all the different classes that are in there. What I don't want is for the governor and the California Department of Education to tell us what we have to do and teach or what curriculums we have to adopt, because that should be a local control issue. That should be something that ed services, that school board members, parents, students also. There's some schools where they have students that are on their curriculum reviews. And so that's basically what I would like to avoid, is the government overreach and them saying, hey, you know what, you eventually will not be able to do that. We will tell you there are 2 options, 3 options, you have to pick one of these. And of course, there could be 5 or 10 options. And then everybody, when you make those decisions, is all based on committees and this, that, and the other, in moving that forward.
Okay, any other comments, questions?
Let's call for the vote.
The vote's the same thing here. If it's a yes, it's.
Someone has to make
I'll make the motion.
Do we, wait,
to make a motion to support board.
Or
Isn't that what's already
to,
on
yeah, it's,
Well, right now it says
on the first one.
direction on his request to advocate.
Oh, it's not listed.
So we have, it's just easier.
And I'll make the motion to approve, yes vote would be in favor of Mr. Campos's request.
yeah. Which would be an opposed position,
Opposed to.
right, to the bill.
I'll second it.
So we changed it, it's not 1078?
It is 1078, yeah, it's on 1078.
I thought we already gave him on the first vote.
The first one was not.
No, yeah, no, that was 223.
That was 223, and then you bypassed 659 and 6.
And I will say this, I will say, if there's any other information that someone would like me to advocate for, I would be more than happy to do that. I have no problem with that. You know, because, and obviously in all these things, you want to work with the authors to say, hey, how about this, how about that, and we can work with it. And so if there's any ideas, I would be more than happy to share anything that anybody submits to me, whether it's someone from the staff, someone from the cabinet, from the board. I'd be more than happy, because obviously what you have to do is have communication.
Well, and I think one of the biggest things of this one is that if this passes going forward, if we disagree with something that was in a textbook that was forced on us by the state would buy it for us, force us to pay for it, even if we didn't necessarily agree with a portion of it, and we wanted to look at other options. We would have no other options. It would be that or nothing, and we would be forced. And the state would buy it for us, and then force us to pay them back.
And potentially fine us.
And potentially fine us, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, it eliminates many of our options. Not that we wouldn't necessarily have gone with that in the first place, but it eliminates our options. And I know you, Tony, you like to have options. We've talked about that many times.
But I don't regard these things that these other boards are doing as honest.
Oh, I know.
They're not honest brokers.
And I'm not worried about the other board, about other districts.
Political, that's racial, that's all different kinds.
I'm not worried about other districts. I'm worried about us, like you said, having a bit of local control that's not taken away from us in the first place. But yes, go ahead.
I understand that, but they're not honest brokers in what they're pushing. And so when it turns around and they get recalled, and this all blows up in their face, and how are we going to feel then?
Well, personally, I'm okay with it, because.
We've been dealing with California for all these years. I mean,
Well, no, right, but I
what have they
think,
done wrong?
I think that the whole process, couple things. Number one, we're a constitutional republic, right? We're not a democracy. Everybody says we're not. We're a constitutional republic. Now, that being said, we go through a democratic process. If the democratic process is for those 3 board members to get recalled, and the community says, and they vote and they recall them, hey, local control. That's the process. That's how you play the game. You can't be upset about that. I mean, I can't, you know what I mean? And I support them. But I can't, that's the process. And as long as the process is followed through and everybody's voices are heard and all the cards are laid out on the table, you take a vote and we're good.
In theory, and what you're saying is all fine and true. But what really happens out there is not what you're saying. I've been the victim of it. I know.
And
I know.
I know, but I don't know what you're talking about on that one.
I'm talking about how jobs are gotten, how people are discriminated against for years and years and years, and you flip this stuff back and forth, back and forth. Now we want control over this to what? Just erase some history because nobody wants to say the dirty words? That's what's going on here, really. But
That's how you're advocating for it too.
But I also agree that we should keep control. So I am.
Yeah.
Dave, I do like options.
Yeah.
I understand.
Option.
Yeah.
I know you love options.
Options are good.
I understand the truth of I've lived it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Understood.
I've been through riots, I've been through fires, I've been through everything. And it's just so strange. There's always a manipulation in the way that we get to this point. Now we're just taking one little more step. Everybody's scared of everybody else. So it's
That is true. And then I just feel like this bill, I don't think it really forces us to do one specific thing. It literally states in the bill that to ensure that all Californians can access information about educational laws and policies that safeguard the right to an accurate and inclusive curriculum. So they're not telling you to do one specific thing. We just want accurate and inclusive curriculum.
Accept the fact that they're taking away control.
Well, the reality is that there's not a curriculum that I'm aware of that is violating any of this. Because in order for it to be California adopted, there are certain requirements that they have to hit. And so in other words, you can't put up 5 that are California approved and then one that's Ohio approved and say, we're going to take the Ohio one. It can't happen, not in California. And so whatever options would be presented to us, we'd have to choose from. There would have been a system from the California Department of Education there, the committees and the way that they do it. But if, for example, there is one that maybe they limit the numbers, or there's one that you have an issue with and you don't want, see, in this particular case, well, in the Temecula case, it's like you could have gone, they could have gone with another curriculum. It's the one that they chose that they opposed. But there was other options. You know what I mean? It was just, it happened to be that one, and because they opposed it, that's where it became an issue, because, and it was a time crunch, and there was other things, so I recommend whenever we do that, that we have plenty of time to do everything, and, yeah, exactly, and to not push things without, you know, input from the community, the parents, the staff, board members, cabinet, everybody involved in the decision.
All right.
So again, yes is.
I'll second the call for the vote then if you need.
Yes is sending Steve to Sacramento to oppose this bill. Just so everybody's okay.
Okay. I had Nelson and Campos.
No, I was the one who put forward the amendment to support it and support what he was saying. He just called for the vote, so I was just seconding, calling for the vote if we needed a second.
Oh, okay. Let's vote. Okay. 14.4, we have 4 in favor and 1 opposed. We'll go now to 14.5, personnel, certificated personnel action items. Do I have a motion? Trustee Garcia.
Second.
Second, Trustee Nelson. You can vote now electronically. Any questions, concerns? Passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Oops. 14.6 is personnel. It's classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Garcia, Trustee Nelson. Any questions, concerns? You can vote electronically. 14.6 passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 14.7, another action item. Personnel, the Paris Secondary Educators Association is submitting its initial proposal to negotiate with the Paris Union High School District regarding Article 7, compensation and benefits. Is that right? 7, okay. Okay.
And he made the motion. I'll second to open the public hearing.
So we've got Trustee Garcia, Trustee Nelson. Oh, okay. The public hearing regarding the initial proposal to negotiate for the Paris Secondary Educators Association is now open at 8:10. Are there any public comments?
No public comments on this issue, Mr. Stafford.
Okay. And this public hearing is now closed at 8:11 p.m. So we have the motions. There's a motion by Trustee Garcia and a second by Trustee Nelson to accept the Paris Secondary Educators Association initial proposal to negotiate with the Paris Union High School District. You can vote now electronically.
That was CMI. This is
We have 5 in favor with 0 opposed on 14.7. 14.8, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Paris Union High School District and the Paris Secondary Educators Association regarding the BAR program grant implementation extension. This is revenue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson, Trustee Garcia? Okay. Any questions, concerns? If not, you can vote electronically. 14.8 passes 5-0. 14.9 is personnel, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Paris Union High School District and the Paris Secondary Education Association regarding zero period for Liberty High School. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Is that Steve? Okay. Any questions, concerns? If not, you can vote electronically. Nine passes 5. Oh, 5 in favor. Okay. Almost didn't get it. Okay, 14.10 is approval of memorandum of understanding between the Paris Union High School District and the California School Employees Association and its chapter, Paris Valley number 469, regarding the increase of hours for campus supervisors. Do I have a motion? Trustee Garcia, Trustee Campos. Any questions, concerns? If not, you can vote. $14.10 is 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 14.11, personnel. Revision of completion date for variable term waiver request for preliminary administration services, credential for secondary level assistant principal high school. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson, Trustee Campos. Questions, concerns? Okay, you can vote now. $14.11, 5 in favor, 0 opposed. 14.12, approval to submit an application for a short-term staff permit request for Gabriella Sid. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Vallejo.
Second.
Trustee Nelson. Any questions, concerns? You can vote electronically. $14.12 passes 5-0. 14.13, business authorization for purchase of capital equipment above $10,000 for August 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson.
Second.
Trustee Vallejo. Any questions, concerns? You can vote electronically. $14.13 passes 5 in favor with 0 opposed. We go to 14.14, authorization for purchase orders above $50,000 for 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson. Did somebody second? I'll second. Trustee Stafford. You can vote electronically. Fourteen passes 4 in favor with 1 opposed. The next items are information items. 15.1 business revolving cash report for June 2023. We have 15.2 business revolving cash report for July 2023. 15.3 board policies, philosophy, goals, objectives, and comprehensive plans, series 0000. And 15.4 board policies, board bylaws, series 9000. We'll go now to 16.1, which is closed session if necessary.
Not necessary this evening.
Okay. We'll go now to 18.1, other items by the superintendent.
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll go now to 19.1, other items by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say to the teachers who came in from Pinacati, unfortunately they've all left, but I had heard some rumblings of some stuff that was going on over there, not to the extent that they had brought up, and so I just wanted to let them know they have my full attention now, and I'm very interested to see what happens here at this site, because safety concerns, I know as a board, we've talked about safety many, many times, and it sounds like there are a lot of unsafe conditions over there that need to be rectified. And like I said, you have my full attention on this thing right now. So I'm curious to see exactly what happens going forward. And I appreciate everybody who came in to speak and support that, because that is everybody's right to come in and speak, and I appreciate when people actually use that right when it's something important. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Nelson. Trustee Campos.
Yeah, you know what? Listening that, a lot of emotions. And reason being is I don't think I would be sitting here today if I wouldn't have gone through a similar situation. It's what got me involved in the process when I saw that there was injustices done to staff members, to colleagues. I've worked under administrators that were less than supportive. And so I know, in one situation, we had 13 or 11 staff members who had heart stress tests. That's not good. And if people don't think that doesn't go down to the students and the environment, it's really bad. And right now we're in an environment where teaching isn't, they say people in the military, they're not recommending that their kids go into the field because of the way things are, and that's the same thing being said right now in public education for teachers. And so, it's a dangerous position to be in now. At the same time, I like to be level-headed about things. That was one side of the story, and I'm sure that we'll have conversations. I'm sure we'll figure out what is going on. And I don't want to say disappointment, but concern is that if this was going on last year, and this is the first time we've heard of it, there's great concern. Because, when we're looking at the data that was presented, we saw some good scores that were going on there. And all I can think is if it seems like they have this staff, and it seems like they probably have community support, but if we can, and it goes back to my comment earlier about leadership, if we can have a leader there, it seems like they would be scoring through the roofs. And I'm just concerned, how can we support them in terms of their resources? Several concerns that were brought up to me, and this is where I think the liability. So I know she had mentioned, my assumption is it's Title I school. Okay, my assumption is that it's Title I. Well, Title I schools get extra cash. They get, their SIP says, I know, they have ELAC, they have the DLACs, they have school site councils, and now I'm going to make sure that I at least, because I've never done it here, but I know that a lot of districts aren't up to date with their legal, how do I say, legal, I guess them obligations for compliance. So you need to make sure that things are posted. I know when I was involved with our EL department, there were things that were happening. Money was basically, through school site councils, money was being taken away from the services and the students and the teachers because the administration there had figured out a way to control everything and to silence people through retaliation. And I was one of those who was retaliated against. And so that's a great concern. The other concern is the legal side. At that point, that could lead to lots of other lawsuits with the Office of Civil Rights. You can have every or every acronym out there, legal firm that's going to come after us if things start to get uncovered. My hope is that we make sure that we are listening to everybody, that we're making sure that fiscally they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, that they're compliant with their school site councils, the way that they're elected, because there's a whole process, and I'm well aware of how the process goes. There's an election, there's, with the SIPSs, you got to make sure that, everything is done in there, and it's done in an appropriate manner because the extra funding that is attached to that, which I'm now curious to know how much money is given to them as a Title I school and then how it's spent. Because anytime those alarms go off, for me, it's like an immediate whoa, because there's always a potential of financial mismanagement. But more importantly, if we can correct that and resolve that, you always got to look at the positive side. Like we can take that, make sure that it's spent positively on the kids and that we're doing everything we're supposed to do legally and that we create an environment there that thrives. And I think the potential is there based on the staff members who are there, because that just shows me that those people love their community that they have there. The safety issues were major. I think we need an SRO, and we'll have to discuss this, that an SRO that is either, going through and making sure that they have Pinacati on their radars, well, maybe sharing them with CMI, because I know that bleeds. That's a feeder school to Paris High School. And if we have issues at Paris High School, it could be because they're starting at the middle school level and we're not taking care of it then. And the last thing we want is to allow kids to have destructive behavior without any correction, and for them to get older and then make poor decisions as adults. And none of us, I know nobody in the room wants to see that. We want every kid to be successful, to have the tools that they need to leave the Paris Union High School District and be successful. And sometimes that comes with a little bit of correction and teaching students appropriate behavior, what's right and what's wrong, just like any parent would do with their children out of love. And so I think that's the ultimate complement of love, is to make sure that you correct your child or your students, that you correct them so that they go down a path that is not destructive. Now, my last thing, and I know this is, and I'll keep it short, but I know, Tony, I said I was going to bring it up towards the end. I would like to at least have a conversation on the Chino board. Chino did it, Murrieta did it. It's the board policy. It's basically a parental rights policy. And I had sent you I don't know if you've read through it, but I had sent it to you. It could obviously be adopted, and there could always be any kind of amendment or to it, but I think we're entering a very dangerous, and you can call it political, you can call it what you want, but I think it's very dangerous, the climate that we're entering into in removing the parents. Because again, I think most parents are sane, and I know for me, the most precious people on the planet are my kids. I mean, I love my wife, she's right there, she's my partner, but I got the, hey babe, I love you, shout out, But the reality is like, you know what? We have to make sure that we are involved and we're protecting the kids. And I think that there's a lot of things that are coming out within the public school system that are keeping parents away. And that's, I know for me as an educator, I don't ever want to lose the trust and the confidence of a parent, because they put those children in my care, number one, for their safety and security. And by the way, I do, and I don't know if it was Edward or John, but the difference between safety and security. Both of them are extremely important. Security to make sure that we have everything that we need, and then they're obviously in a safe environment. But that being said, as a parent, I want to make sure that I know what's going on. I know if my kid does something wrong, they're going to let me know. When they start to do things that may not be something that they want to share with me, I think the ultimate compliment, and this is where I think we need to go, and hopefully with our services that we offer, that we're able to make sure that we communicate with students to have an open dialogue with parents. And I know that sometimes that's difficult. One time my son, he ended up parking my truck on this hill, and He called me, and of course, I was like, why are you on a hill? And why is the truck over there? A parent next to me said, hey, Steve, the fact that he's calling you is a win. You know, because he didn't have to call you, he didn't have to do this, but he called you because he obviously thinks you can help him in the situation. So, you know, hear him out. And of course, I did. I kind of took a step back, and it helped me do that. And I think that that's the way, ideally, we should have a relationship and a partnership with the parents. We're three-pronged. We have the students, we have us as the public education system, and then we have the parents. And in order for a kid, in my opinion, to thrive, you got to have all working pieces together. Anytime you separate one from the other, you tend to have issues. We're not in a perfect world, I get that. But I do believe that I know for me, and I think one of the things that you would have to ask yourself is, who do you represent here as an elected official? I represent the constituents who voted me into this position, and most of those constituents are parents. They're adults, they're community members. They're not students, you know, and sometimes, and you guys have seen the videos, you know, kids do crazy stuff that I don't necessarily recommend, but, you know, if it goes viral, they're like, woohoo. Not me, you know what I mean? I understand my seat, I understand my role. My role is to make sure that we work as a group, collectively, that we are listening to the parents and that we're making sure that the environment that we work in is a safe and secure environment. So that's something that I'll bring up, hopefully, the next time, so we can look through the policy and have a consensus. And again, I'm okay one way or the other on how we vote on things. That's the democratic process, which I believe is a good process. Thank you. Oh, I forgot, shout out. I saw my blame, I was like, yeah.
When you were talking about the bill or the thing from Chino.
Yeah.
I'm a little unclear what you're asking for there.
Well, that we look at it and potentially adopt it. We can obviously amend it. Obviously, we can have attorneys review it, have everybody review it, because I think that there's a demonization of it. But I think if you read it through, it's not a bad thing. I think that you can twist anything. But I've read through it. To me, again, as a parent, I think it's something that we should pass and make sure that the parents understand that we are on their side. We're here to partner with them. And I think this policy will let parents know that, hey, we are here for you to help you support, to make sure that those bonds with their children are not being separated.
So what you're looking for is a consensus from the board then to bring that back at the next meeting?
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't even looked at it, so at least to discuss it.
Right, I mean, just bring it back as a.
Yes.
You want to put it on the board agenda for
Yeah.
next meeting?
As an
Yes.
information item.
Yes, yes.
Is it a resolution then, just to clarify?
It would be a policy.
Board policy?
Yes.
It'll be a board policy change, but we
But
have to go through
the
a first reading.
Yeah.
well, the first time it comes, it just comes as an information item.
Yeah. Well, and
then
yeah.
it'll be 2 months after that.
Do you have the number of the board policy?
Well,
Right now,
and
it's not
so
a board- we're not
I
looking at
have
board
theirs,
policy right
but
now.
sometimes ours are different.
Don't worry about
Like, and that's where you would have to, I don't know if whoever.
I understand what you want. so we'll
If
be
the
okay.
attorneys, they can change things and put if there's decimal points or whatever, that I don't know, so.
Just to say, we have a few things we need to do. We have Edwards issues that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we still have the legal
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
So let's try to stay in order.
Yeah.
So if you put it as an information item, that gives more time.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's where we want that.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to be an information item the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, we gotta deal with your consent.
Okay.
Trustee Garcia?
Thank you. I'm already out of breath. I know the staff had already left. I want to thank them because it takes a lot of courage to come up here and speak, just in general. Everybody's nervous, and they were talking about retaliation, they were talking about lack of communication. we all heard what they were talking about. But we have to remember, we're here to work together. So I'm asking as board member to Mr. Bennett for him to pass the directives to whomever he needs to. Let's give that site every resource possible that they need. My colleague, Mr. Campos, just brought up, which we brought up recently, about SROs being assigned to that school. That's even more of a reason to put it in there. So if possibly we get a consensus to direct you guys to give us another SRO, I think we're long overdue. We're long overdue in that matter. But at the same time, this reminds me of when I first came to the board, when food services were coming up here telling us what's going on, we listened and we asked for an investigation. I'm asking for an investigation to figure out what's wrong and can we fix it. And how we fix it, that'll be up to you guys. But it needs to be addressed, like yesterday, please. I know this is aggressive how I'm talking. I apologize, but they need to hear it. They need to know that we're supporting them as well. We can't be efficient and effective if we're not listening to each other. And this is part of your philosophy, Mr. Bennett. You know everyone, no matter what position they hold, from top to bottom, from bottom to top, from around the corner. You know people by name. And I'm surprised we haven't discussed this, and it blew up this big for us to hear this today at the beginning of the school year, rather than in the summer or the end of the year. But I expect this to be resolved before we come back. It doesn't sound like it can't be. I know it can be, especially with your leadership. I know it could be. And I do thank you guys. It is a hard position for you all to be in as leaders, especially running a site where you have different unions, parents. Oh my gosh, you guys seen all these crazy videos online lately? I get it, I see it. But at the end of the day, we're supposed to be family. Doesn't mean we fight like family. We find resolutions together. And that's what I'd like to see from everybody. And again, thank you for everything you do. We do value you. And we value you, Mr. Bennett. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Garcia. Trustee Vallejo.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo off to what my board members have said. Just hearing all the employees from Pinacati, that really did hurt, because knowing that they've been harassed, retaliated, and bullying, that's a lot on a person. It's a lot on a person. And if you guys ever see them, tell them that we said thank you so much for the courage that they have to get up here. And I really do appreciate that. I also saw when they were speaking, I saw that some of you guys were taking notes because you guys are serious about this. And I'm glad that we are all on the same page, because we are all taking notes here. We are all trying to figure out what is going on. And yeah, Bennett, I just want to make sure, like, if you can give us updates, we want them. We are going to ask for them. We're not going to. How dare you, Cassandra? We're not friends anymore. You know? No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
That sounded like an ad on YouTube to me.
Siri, BP 525.
It's okay. But yes, we will strictly always want to know what is the update. We will. I am gonna also ask you for like updates and see what's going on, because investigation is very much needed. And I know you guys are going to go that route, but I just really appreciate how far that we've come as a board, and that even these concerns, that we always want to hear them, and it's hard to hear, but we are always willing to hear them, because that's what we're here for. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Vallejo. Very strange day today. I rode by Pinacati on my way here, and normally I come a different way, but somehow I wasn't paying attention to what time it was, knowing they were going to get out of school. So they were getting out of school, and the kids were crossing the street in the crosswalk, but what I was looking for, I guess naively, was a crossing guard, or at least someone with an orange vest on or something, and there was nothing, and the traffic backed up, and the kids just walked wherever they wanted to. But having worked at that school and knowing the cast of characters that were in front of you, all is not always what it seems. Okay, everybody has a part in it, and why I say the wheel just keeps turning, because it's like I'm back in, I don't know, when did I start in this district? In 2004, I think. That school was a mess. Those middle schoolers are immature. This is part of growing up. They were just basically tearing the school up. Nobody was doing their work. It was just a mess. It was everybody involved. And the only answer you could get when you asked the question, somebody was pointing the finger at somebody else. And that seems to be exactly what I'm looking at again, is everybody's blaming somebody else. If everyone just does their job, then I think you can straighten this out pretty quickly, and it'll be right. But it's just one of those situations that those middle schoolers, and I think, Steve, you worked in the middle school before, and
Right now.
oh, okay. So you know how Penicotti has a special, they're the ones that's feeding into the other high schools, you know, and they went to Heritage, and it just, they tried to tear Heritage apart the first year that we opened, and I couldn't understand it. So there's a lot of different factors. So a lot of whining and complaining, that goes but so far. You have to make a difference. If you don't make a difference, then you're just blowing your own horn or whatever you have, however you say it. Go ahead, Ed.
I apologize. I did forget to mention one of the key components that they were talking about, which was retaliation. And I want it to be on record. That's why I'm asking for this time. There should not be any retaliation against these people. And if we hear about it, you're going to hear about it. And I'm sure none of us are going to be happy over this. But I need that to be captured so they know we're listening. There should not be any retaliation against these people.
Okay, that's great. I just want you to see the whole picture, you know, because there's a lot to it. And I know they can be successful. And I was just, I don't know, I had just happened to ride by that school and was a little disappointed what I saw. The other thing with the union president and what was going on with the parish, I think that's very concerning, because if we come up on wintertime and you're getting dropped off the bus at dark, and you've parked your car there all day, and hopefully it's still there, you know, it's reality, and I'd like them to be safer than what they're doing. That's a question I don't have the answer to. I think transportation or business services will count on you guys to work with them, because I haven't seen or met all the paras, but I know a lot of them probably are not in a position to defend themselves against some of the things going on out there. So let's be careful for them. So, and that's all I have. So we'll move on, and thank you. And Steve, thank you for a good conversation. You know, it really helps. Okay, so we'll go to 20.1, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson. Trustee Garcia. And you can vote electronically. We have 5 in favor with none opposed. This meeting is adjourned at 8:40 p.m.